Hey everybody, welcome back to the Josh Wiley channel. Today we're going to go over how cheap can you actually build an AR-15. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. Today's video is a video that I've been wanting to do for a long time and I've finally gotten around to doing it. We're going to go over all of the parts of an AR-15 rifle and find out exactly how cheap you're able to build one. Now, if you are just starting out and haven't really gotten into AR-15s and you want to get into AR-15s, I highly recommend that you buy one first. Get a hold of one. My first rifle was actually this rifle. This is the DPMS Oracle. I did do a review on this. I'll leave the link down in the description if you want to check that out. The Oracle AR-15 is one of the cheaper rifles you can get. I think I got a hold of this for about $500, and I think you can find them on sale around Black Friday, Christmas time for I think as low as $450. But it's a great rifle and it's really cheap and very well worth the money. Now we're going to go over all of these parts. We're not going to go over grips or sights or backup sights, anything like that, or stops. We're just going to go over the main essential parts that you need to have a functioning AR-15 rifle. Now starting from the back, your stock, you can get the regular ones that usually come on your rifle when you buy them, like this did. You can find them on like eBay, online at different places, and you can get them as cheap as $10. And I'll try to put links for all of the stuff we're going to go over in the description as well. So your stock, the cheapest you can get is about 10 bucks. Moving on to your buffer tube kit. When you get a buffer tube kit, you will get the buffer tube, your buffer spring, your buffer, a castle nut, everything that you need for your buffer tube assembly. You can find these also on eBay and stuff. I tell a lot of people, if you're just now getting into AR-15s and you're building one and you want to try and build it as cheap as you possibly can, which is a good idea to try when you're building your first AR-15 rifle. That's what I did for mine. I got the cheapest stuff I could find to get my rifle built, and then later down the road you can get parts here and there to upgrade your rifle. So eBay is your friend. So you definitely want to check out eBay. I found a lot of crazy low price stuff for building these things, but you can find complete buffer tube kits for $20. Now moving on to your lower. You can go a couple of different ways with this. Anytime I build a rifle, which anytime most people build a rifle, you'll get a stripped lower receiver. Just the lower receiver, no parts at all. You can get a lower assembly fairly cheap, which comes with your lower, all the parts in it, your grip, and your buffer tube complete kit, and usually they come with cheap stock on it, which will probably be the one that we just talked about that you should be able to find for about 10 bucks. You can get the whole lower kit. I have seen online at a couple of different places for $150 or so. But we're going to go over this as getting all the individual pieces and everything stripped and go from there. So the lower receiver. You can usually find Anderson lower receivers for about $50, which is usually what I get anytime I'm building a rifle. So the lower receiver stripped will run you about $50. Then your parts kits that you need for your lower receiver. Anderson is going to be the cheapest one that you will probably be able to find regularly. I have gotten Anderson lower parts kits in the past and they stay around $50 also. I have seen deals on a couple of different websites, one mainly being Palmetto State Armory. They have some crazy deals on their website. If you go to their website, you can sign up for their newsletter and you'll get a email usually about once a day of all their like daily deals they do and stuff. I have seen lower parts kits on there for under $50, but it's one of those things where you gotta see it the day the deal is and take advantage of it. But if you don't do that, you can get the Anderson lower parts kits for $50. On your upper receiver, you can get a stripped upper receiver also for $50 on most places, and that is the Anderson upper as well. If you do get a stripped upper, you'll have to get the dust cover assembly, and you'll also have to get the forward assist assembly. If you do get a stripped upper, sometimes you can find the stripped upper for under $50, but most of the time you can also find the stripped Anderson upper for $50. The dust cover assembly, you can usually find that for about $10 or so, sometimes cheaper depending on where you find it. And the forward assist assembly also is about the same price. Alright, moving on to your barrel. If you go with a regular 16-inch length barrel, you can usually find these for as cheap as $75 to $80. That barrel is probably not going to be the best barrel that there is, and you're probably going to want to change it out sometime down the road. But like I said, this is to find out how cheap you can actually build one. So you can find barrels for around $75 to $80. Now your gas tube and gas block, a lot of the time you'll have to get a gas tube and a gas block separate, but I have found the gas tube and gas block together for $20. Then moving on to your handguard, you can go with a free float handguard, or you can do the two-piece handguard, which I recommend going ahead and spending a little bit extra money and getting yourself the free float handguard. You can get a cheap quad rail just like this on eBay, again, for about $30 to $40. If you go for the two-piece handguard, which is not a free float handguard, you can usually find those as low as $10. Now, flash hider. On the end of your barrel, you have a flash hider. You can get muzzle brake, compensator, whatever. But the cheapest thing I've been able to find is your regular A2 flash hider, and I have found these also on eBay for $10. Moving along to your charging handle. This is a more expensive charging handle. You can get the regular stock charging handle. You can find those online, usually on eBay, for as low as $20. And your bolt carrier group. Bolt carriers are usually not something you want to skimp on in price. But for the purpose of this video, we're trying to find out how cheap can you build an AR-15 rifle. The cheapest I've been able to find on a regular basis is also the Anderson bolt carrier group, which I would not usually recommend to anybody because I have bought some and I have had problems with them. But you can get the Anderson bolt carrier for $75. Also, if you are on the newsletter for places like Palmetto State Armory, I have seen a couple of off-brand bolt carrier groups that I haven't really heard of nor tried, that I have seen them cheaper than $75. So you might want to check that out, see if that's something you want to consider. But we're going to stick with talking about the Anderson bolt carrier group, which you can find at $75. Alright, so that's all the parts that you need to have a complete functioning AR-15 rifle. And all those parts, just from what I've said, and you might be able to find them cheaper than that, but most of the time, on a regular basis, looking for all these parts, you can have a fully functioning AR-15 rifle for about $400. And that is quite spectacular because it is very, very rare that you find a completed AR-15 in a gun store somewhere, anywhere, for usually anywhere close to $400. So as I said earlier, if you haven't gotten into AR-15s and you're wanting to get into them, I do recommend you buying one first. You don't have to. It's very simple and easy to build one of these. That's just something that I did. I wanted to go ahead and buy one first and learn about it, see how all the parts work before I got into actually building one from the ground up. But I do recommend you buying your first one, and then when you build your first one, if you're looking to go as cheap as you can possibly get, just to go ahead and build one and then upgrade it later down the road, you can build one of these for $400. So that's all for today. If you like this episode, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and if you haven't yet, please consider getting subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks.